Time, 12 a.m. Location, unknown. A set of large steel doors opens, like a sideways aligned set of jaws, unsealing as, from beyond the door, a female figure begins to enter, wearing a white lab coat, glasses, blonde hair pulled into a bun, a clipboard at her side, a government-issued name tag and clearance charter, as from behind her is called out. "Entry confirmed. Seal gate," a soldier announces as the door seals itself shut behind her. There, in a brightly lit room, she begins to walk forward. Blinding fluorescent lights shine down from overhead as a figure sits contained within the room, large metallic bracers holding him in place so that he can't move, can't go anywhere, can't do anything, simply locked into a stationary position. His hair somewhat long and overgrown, even growing in a full beard now. In front of the man, locked into position, sits a chair. The woman nonchalantly takes a seat upon it, facing the individual bound, restrained into position, as she begins to speak. This is interview 137. "Hello, Jonny. How are you feeling?" the woman says, looking up to the bound figure. "Go screw yourself," he replies, not even bothering to lift his head to look at her. "That's not a very progressive attitude, Jonny. Being obstinate won't get you anywhere." "You must be kidding me," the man replied. "Being obstinate won't get me anywhere? Being open didn't get me anywhere either. Nothing gets me anywhere. I'm gonna be locked right here for the rest of my natural life. And you expect me to what? Be jolly about it? Start every day with a smile? What, just so you can feel better about the state of situation? Don't feel bad about poor Jonny. He feels fine. Just look at the smile on his face. He's happy right there." "Go fuck off," he replied. "Well, you have to understand, Jonny, this is a unique situation. Someone with your abilities can't simply be allowed to run free. You must realize how dangerous you truly are. All of these things are simply a precaution. Once the government is able to find out how to fix you, they can release you. You can go home, back to a regular life." "Give me a break. They're not trying to fix anything. They're trying to figure out how to use me. They want me to be their personal lab rat for the rest of my existence. Figure out how I work. And maybe figure out how to do it for themselves. Turn it into weaponry. Or do any number of other horrible things. You must be more positive, Jonny. Our government would never do something like that. Yeah, just like they don't keep American citizens prisoner against their will when they've committed no crime." "Well, technically, Jonny," the woman replied, "vigilantism is a crime. You are not allowed to run about, simply deciding that you're the one who needs to stop bad guys and save people. You're suffering from a psychological ailment due to your condition. We're only trying to help you, Jonny." "Oh, give me a break. I wasn't being a vigilante. Some crazy crap went down, and I just so happened to be able to stop it in the point in time. In fact, I doubt anybody else would have been able to, even if you had issued a full government order to have the entire city swept. You never would have found it. It was far too well hidden. Hell, even I barely found it. And once I did, there was barely any time left to get the information of how to stop the nuke. I managed to stop it with only 4 seconds left on the clock. Any longer, and the entire city would have went up. And for that, I'm locked in a cage for the rest of my life. How's that for ironic? Save the lives of thousands, and you get punished instead of rewarded. Yes, well, while you may have stopped this nuclear device, you also did so by completely overrunning the city, Jonny. You scared people. Lots of them. Even the government's terrified of what you can do. It's not normal, Jonny. You're telling me, Jonny replied. You are in all essence, Jonny, a paradox, an infinite paradox. Thus the nickname you've been given, Jonny Infinite. Well, we all of course know your true name is Jonny Brooks. Born 1992, raised in Newgate City by Linda and Bob Brooks, where you attended Newgate College. After college, you graduated with a degree in business management. Whilst working, you went to visit a friend at their place of work, that being a laboratory. But the experiment went awry. During the process of this malfunction in the experiment, you managed to save several others in an act of heroism, getting them clear of the blast radius. However, having saved those others, you were unable to save yourself. You were in the hospital for several months, recovering from the injuries from that experimental procedure, which we've now gotten a great deal of detail on. Frankly, it should have killed you, but instead, it did something else. It turns you into somewhat of a paradox. You no longer exist within the same frame of reality or temporal existence as the rest of us. Or rather, you live in far more. All of time and space tends to work in a certain kind of way. Normally, at least this is the theory, whenever there is a choice, this choice becomes a divergent path, upon which you make both choices, simply in two different realities. In one reality, you choose to go left. In the other, you choose to go right. However, the experiment somehow compounded all of your realities into a single one. No longer does a branching reality path become created whenever a choice is optioned to you. Rather, you divert within a single reality, every choice creating a duplicate Jonny. 1 makes 2, 2 makes 4, 4 makes 8, and so on and so forth, until your numbers are so great that you're basically your own army. The speed at which this can occur is quite frankly terrifying, which is why you are being kept stationary, allowed no options. You cannot move left or right, and thus you cannot divide into alternating timelines within the same corresponding universe. The measures have to be extreme, Jonny, because your powers are, in essence, extreme. Dangerous, Jonny. Truly, within the time span of less than an hour, you managed to create so many duplicates, so many other variants of yourself, that you completely overran the city, all of Newgate. You were everywhere, every single place in the city simultaneously. You filled every office building, every convenience store, every home, every sewer line, covered every beach, stood atop every building. By the end, there were more Johnnies in Newgate City than there were citizens, all in under an hour. So tell me, Jonny, if the government were to release you, what guarantee could you possibly give that you wouldn't simply overrun the entire country, the entire world, Jonny? In essence, your powers are quite frankly too dangerous. There are a very large number of special individuals who wield great power The government is aware of these individuals, at least a large number of them. But your power in particular is troubling. More like it's the only one you can easily capture, Jonny replied, looking back up to her. All those other special individuals all have super strength, the ability to tear through steel walls, create blasts of super power that blow crap up. But Jonny, well, he's just Jonny. Though I might be able to multiply exponentially, my physical form doesn't get any stronger or durable. It's not as if I suddenly become a master of the martial arts or trained in military combat. I can't shoot lasers from my ass or something like that. So while my power might be impressive, physically, I'm still controllable. Something that you can capture, put in one place, and the construct that you use to hold me can actually be strong enough to do so. That's all this is really about. Yeah, all those other people might be running around, but that's only because you can't contain them, or you can't catch them. But it's different with me, because as much as I can multiply, I eventually do have to return to just being one Jonny. And being able to divert means being able to move. I can't do it when I'm stationary. I have to move to a new location, at least enough so that my physical space doesn't overlap with the new deviation. Otherwise, it's simply absorbed back into me. So as long as you keep me nice and still, no extra Johnnies. So, what's their progress on figuring out how to copy the results? Making an infinite army, or some type of reality cannon or some crap? I've already told you, Jonny, we're not trying to do anything like that, the woman replied, fixing her glasses somewhat. We're just trying to help you. Yeah, and how many years is that gonna go on? What? I've already been here nearly a year, and the only thing that ever happens is that you come feed me 3 times a day. I can't even feed myself. You freaking spoon feed me like a baby. I'm hooked up to all this equipment. I don't even get to go to the bathroom myself. And then there's you, coming in to jabber at me, asking all of these pointless questions. It doesn't matter how much I reassure you. It doesn't matter what I do. You're never gonna let me out of here. You can tell all the sweet little lies you want to. I'm smart enough to have figured it out at this point. This is where I'm gonna spend the rest of my life. Now, Jonny, the woman replied, as suddenly alarms began to blare within the facility. Red lights turned on, flickering brightly as an alarm sounded. Facility breach! Facility breach! All men to arms, take positions! A Category 10 threat has breached the facility! The voice called out over the intercom system as massive rumbles began to tremble the facility, everything shaking, the walls beginning to crack as the woman fell from her chair. What's going on? She exclaimed, looking around. Well, I thought that would be obvious, Doc. Someone's breached the facility, Jonny replied. Oh, I wonder what they're here for. This isn't funny, Jonny! What if they're here to kill you? I doubt it. And even if they are, honestly, I think it'd be better than being stuck in this the rest of my life. So, bring on with the killing. Well, Doc, you could always release me. See if I can help you guys out with this. That's not going to happen, Jonny. If we let you out of there, we'll never be able to stop you. You can reestablish your singular state into any of your multiple Johnnies. It wouldn't matter if we stopped 1 or 2. You can choose to reassimilate yourself within any of them. All that's required is for that one get free. And all of the work we've done to contain you would go to nothing. Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say. as yet another tremor shook the room, and some massive metal object seemed to smash through the ceiling overhead. By the looks of it, massive metallic fingers tore their way into the structure, literally ripping the ceiling from overhead as light from the evening sky poured in over an absolutely massive figure. This thing must have been hundreds of feet tall, a gargantuan being forged of pure metal, blue light coursing under heavy armor plating. "What in the world is that?" the woman exclaimed frantically. "Well, looks like I found you," a voice emitted from the giant entity. Now, that's not very nice of you guys. I mean, I gave you plenty of chances. What have I told you about keeping superhumans in the basement?" "I know that voice. It's you again. Iron Rider." "Well, that's not my name, but whatever you feel like calling me is really fine. It doesn't really matter in the end," the voice called out as the chest of this massive construction began to open up, massive armor plates moving aside, opening wide to an array of interior electronics that, quite frankly, Jonny nor the woman could comprehend. And there, within the center of it, some kind of suspended orb of blue liquid that glowed with fluorescent light as a shadow began to pass out of its form. A body, first a hand, and then the rest of the body began passing through, dropping out of this liquid sphere and plummeting through the air, down through the hole into the room, flipping over and giving a 3-point landing on the floor, shattering into it with a crater, sending pieces of tile and concrete flying, as a figure wearing fairly average clothing, along with a tattered leather jacket, seemed to stand up from the crater. "This is a government facility. What you're doing is illegal. You're a criminal, standing against the United States government." Yeah, whatever, lady," the man said as he casually strolled by her, paying her no mind. "Well, this must be Infinite Jonny. So, let me ask you, Jonny, do you feel comfortable here? Or would you like me to take you on a little joyride?" the man said, smiling up to Jonny within his restraints. "Buddy," Jonny replied, "I will go literally anywhere, as long as it's not here." "Good, because you and me have some conversation that needs to be had," the figure said, with a kind smile, as he lit up a cigarette. "This is gonna be fun," he exclaimed, blowing out a big waft of smoke.